Hi there, it's the Dutch Master and welcome to this brand new video. So today I'm back with a brand new The Sims 4 speed build, and today I'm building the coolest contemporary house I've ever built in The Sims 4. It's a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, very luxurious house just for a couple, like sort of a rich couple who likes like a sort of modern artistic house. It's available on the gallery, so if you like what you see, you can download it there. And then, let me know what you think of it also in the comments down below, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. As you probably know, this video is pre-recorded because I'm still on a trip. If you want to know how I'm doing like real life, because this is all pre-recorded, this is I was 3 weeks ago. If you want to know how I'm feeling right now, then you should just check out my Instagram. The link is in the description, but you can also just look for Dutch Sims 4 Master, and then you can see all the adventures I'm having in South Africa. And yeah, I really hope you are liking all the pre-recorded videos, because seriously, it might not seem like a tough job, and normally YouTube is like sort of the easiest job ever, but when you've got to pre-record videos, it's tough. And not because it's hard work and you're getting tired of it, but because you need to have so much inspiration. And luckily I had quite some inspiration when I started this pre-recording session, because I've seriously recorded 6 speed builds in 7 days, which is like a record, because that's almost 1 a day, which is insane. People who also create speed builds will know that it really takes a lot of time, and especially what it takes is inspiration. And I was lucky enough to have the first 3 or 4 houses which I built. I had like a lot of inspiration and I knew exactly what I wanted, and that's the good thing, because then you can easily get started, and that really saves a lot of time and a lot of hassle just having to deal with coming up with an idea, because it's just a lot better if you can immediately get started. But by now I'm pre-recording all these voiceovers later on, which means that I've recorded every speed build. But now my inspiration sort of started to suffer. Don't worry, the videos are still really good, but I had sort of a harder time to come up with what I wanted to create. So one is a fish restaurant and one is a tiny house. So yeah, seriously, I've created like 6 videos. It's insane. I personally think they all turned out to be really cool. I'm very happy that I've brought the Around the World speed build series back, because I personally really enjoyed that series, and you really seem to enjoy it as well. So that's like the perfect combination. But this is not an Around the World speed build. I was thinking for a second while creating it that I could call this an Australian house, because in Australia you've got very many contemporary houses, so therefore I thought it would be cool to create one for Australia, because I've never built an Australian house, but I've decided not to, because this is like a very special house. This is not typical. If a house like this one would exist, there would seriously only be one in the world, because this is like a designer house. This is not just your regular house sort of. Also, I've done a New Zealand house already, because that's where I most recently went, so therefore I thought it was sort of the same. If it's not the same, just let me know, but I feel like Australian and New Zealand houses are pretty much the same, or the same style, if you want to go for the typical New Zealand or Australian house. But if you've got a good image of like an outback house in Australia, I would definitely like to try it out. Of course, we've really got that desert area in The Sims 4, so then I can try out creating like a desert house for like Alice Springs in Australia or something like that. But just let me know in the comments what you think of that, if you're Australian or you're familiar with Australian architecture and you've got some inspiration or some images of what I should create, because personally I don't really know that. But as you can see, the shape of this house is, well, the shape isn't necessarily special, but it's just this really cool design with the fences around it, or not the fences, but the blinds around it, which creates such a special effect, especially looking from like an angle straight into like the corner, the 90-degree corner of the black part. If you look at that, then you don't even see the windows, which just makes it seem as if it's a detailed black box. And I personally think that's really cool. This is really my style of architecture. I really like that I just came up with this myself. I haven't actually seen an image on the internet. Of course, I do follow a lot of architecture, so unknowingly a lot of inspiration comes from that, but still I came up with this design myself, which I like, because sometimes there are big parts which I also, well, not necessarily copy, but which are inspired by something I see on, for instance, Design or Design Boom, which are two websites where you can like read architecture news or watch architecture simply, and sometimes I get a lot of inspiration from that. But this time that wasn't really necessary because I knew exactly what I wanted to create, and personally I think this is like the coolest house ever. If I could personally live in one of the houses I've ever designed, then I've got to admit this one isn't very big, and in real life, yeah, it does seem like sort of a big house, if you get what I mean. But in real life, I would love to live in this house if it had like more room. But like a house this shape and this style, I would really love to live in, because I also find it, or always find it, very hard to define my dream house. People always say build your dream house, but there's a reason I've never done that. Well, I once built my dream house in The Sims 3, but back then I was like 12, so I wasn't really thinking logically yet, and I just built something and I thought it was cool, and then I realized, wow, this is my dream house. But right now, if I want to create my dream house, I really want to make sure that it is my dream house. And you know, there's just so many things you can do that I find it very hard to create my dream house. Also, what is your dream house? Because, you know, you can create insanely big houses, which is cool, but you can also build your more realistic dream house. And this is still a very fancy house, don't get me wrong, but this is sort of a more realistic dream house, I guess. Which is what I personally find really cool about this one. But I can of course also build like a $50 million dream house, and that would look way different. So therefore I never built my dream house, but honestly this would come close to being my dream house, though it would miss some like accessories. First of all, it doesn't have a hot tub. You know, if you're just building your dream house, of course you've got to add a hot tub. Also, the pool isn't really at the sunny side. Maybe I would change that. More places to sit. A gym, and a home gym is seriously what I dream of having, because then you never have to like cycle to the gym, which would like save a lot of time and especially effort and reasons not to go to the gym every time, especially when it rains. Because, you know, Dutch people, that's the funny part, or at least what I sometimes don't realize, that people from abroad, not from the Netherlands, don't actually cycle to places, which is like the most normal and regular thing for me to do as a Dutch person. But like seriously, I cycle everywhere because I'm 17, or by the time this one is up, maybe I'm 18, because I'm turning 18 on the 7th of August. But anyways, I go everywhere by bike, and every Dutch person does. So if I go to school, I go by bike. If I go to a shop, I go by bike. If I go to the gym, I go by bike. And together with friends, recently I had a party which was quite far away. It was like 25 kilometers. Let me do a quick calculation. 2 miles, because otherwise people will be mad. That's almost 16 miles. We just went there by bike because, you know, we can, and it's like pretty far away, and we ended up in the rain cycling for like more than an hour. But that's just the way Dutch people are. We always cycle, and I think that's one of the ways in which the Dutch what would you call it? The Dutch way of thinking is also described, because we're not easily giving up. I'm personally like really against giving up. I almost never give up, but yeah, that's just something that's in the mind of very many Dutch people, and that's probably also the reason why like big startups or some big companies or whatever come from the Netherlands as well. But yeah, enough said about the Netherlands being awesome, because the weather still sucks, because it's currently summer and every now and then we've got good weather. But in the country I want to live in, that's also part of my dream house. I want to live in a country, and I want the dream house to be in a country where the weather is at least some time of the year for a couple of months just perfect. And you can count on the fact that it's good, because if you want to have a barbecue in the Netherlands, you actually can't plan it more than a week in advance, because otherwise you don't know that the weather is bad. And if you dare to actually just plan the barbecue like way in advance, then you'll be sure that the gods will just make you suffer with rain. So you can either not plan it in advance and just make sure that you choose a day with good weather, or you plan it in advance and you're sure that you've got bad weather, I guess. But by the way, let me talk about the interior of this house, because yeah, it is sort of strange because we've got the living room and dining area up around the cool box, or the cool blinds, the black blinds, and then you've got a really cool kitchen. I thought, because I've been building very many houses because of the pre-recording, I sort of got bored a little with building the same kind of thing every time. So I thought, you know, I'm gonna build a different kitchen. And recently I saw a kitchen which only had like an island. That's it, no counters around it. So I did exactly that. Well, it is sort of a big bar or a counter to the side of the wall, so it's not like on its own, but still I think it really turned out to look pretty cool, because you know, you've just got that counter and nothing else around it. And then also the living room, like I mentioned, and then downstairs opening up to the pool, we've got the master bedroom with a huge ensuite bathroom, which turned out to look really cool. Also, I've got a really cool shot of that in the overview, so make sure you stay tuned to check that one out, because it's really cool. And generally the overview of this one turned out to be like really cool. And I must say, the fitness stuff bag, I've mentioned that pack a lot recently, really helped me out with this build as well, again, because there's some really cool items coming with that pack that help this. And maybe you think that I'm sponsored to say that. I'm not. I just really think this is the coolest pack ever, because I mean, there's just some really cool stuff coming with this pack. I mean, from this entire bathroom, like half of the items come with this pack, and it's like only $10, and then people say it's not a good one. I just want to make sure that people are like aware of the fact that it is a really good pack if you're like a modern contemporary builder. So yeah, like I mentioned, you can download this house from the gallery, and also don't forget that you can follow me on Instagram, because it's just cool to be able to interact with you there. You can comment on the photos, of course. Then if you ask a question, I can reply. It's just easier than looking at looking at YouTube all the time, because I get way too many comments there. And also, I really like to take pictures. I do that a lot, especially when I'm on trips, almost only when I'm on trips, to be honest. But hey, maybe that will change sometime. But then you can always stay up to date with what I'm doing. And I must say, you know, everyone's got Instagram nowadays, so you don't really have an excuse not to follow me, I guess. But hey, this is the master bedroom, 2 really big walk-in closets, and then also again some fitness stuff back furniture and some beds, which in the end I tried to make better with the fitness stuff back seat or ottoman. Is it an ottoman? No, it's not an ottoman, I believe. I honestly never know what an ottoman is. But hey, thank you for watching this video. The overview is coming in a couple of seconds, so thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you back later.